Good evening, everybody. It's December 10th, and I want to welcome you to our regular town board meeting, Town of Rhinebeck. Would everybody please stand for the pledge? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to make a motion for the approval of our minutes from our November 26th regular town board meeting. May I have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Chauncey. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Brennan Carney, Councilperson Brennan Carney is ill today, so we've asked her to stay home and not infect any of us. We'll get better soon.
She's graciously.
Yes, she graciously, yeah, she offered to come. We'll do announcements and liaison reports later. We have a presentation tonight from our Porch Fest organizers, a check to the Rhinebeck Park Fund. So I think we have Liz Mazzarella here for Porch Fest, and thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me. I'm here to talk a little bit about Porch Fest. I don't know if anybody was on the street September 29th for the event.
This is the third one?
Third year.
Yeah, it's getting great.
Yeah, we had a couple thousand people, we believe, filling the streets. We had over 50 bands and 20 porches, 2 churches involved, and many volunteers. We had a wonderful volunteer committee of about 13 to 15 people, but the day of the event, it took quite a few extra people to pull it off. This year we tried a couple things different to incorporate and bring people into the village to kind of promote the merchants and the restaurants. We had a guitar auction a few weeks prior to the event, which a lot of the merchants were involved in, a lot of local artists were involved in. And then the second event was actually the grand finale, the day of Porch Fest. We had a brass band, second line, parade to the finale in the community, in the municipal parking lot. And there we had a grand finale band perform. And the real reason behind that was to pull people back into the village after the event. We had gone to the merchants and encouraged them to stay open a little later, and hoping to bring the people into their shops. And from what I hear, the restaurants were full. So it was a great event, really the best of the three. Every year it seems to get a little bit better. We raised over $20,000 through community sponsorships, and so tonight we're going to present $10,000 to the Rhinebeck Park Fund.
Wow.
I'd like to introduce Cal and Lindy Wright, who are incredible committee members. From day one, I stopped Tom on the street. I'd never met him before. I knocked on Lindy Wright's door, and from day one, they jumped on board, and they're amazing how much they do for the event, and they do a lot for Rhinebeck in general. They're involved in so much. But the reason behind not only having them here is, to me, the whole event is about bringing the Rhinebeck community together. And my friendships with these two people are the perfect example. 2 people I never knew, they're neighbors in the community, and now I consider them dear friends. So I think it's a great event. A lot of volunteers, aside from the event, is the musicians all volunteer their time and talent for free. The list goes on. I also would like to thank the town and village for their support, the local police, the fire department, the fairgrounds, Auntie Imperati, John Fenton. Everyone just climbed on board and helped to pull the event off.
It's one of the seminal events in the village that really helped keep Rhinebeck, on the map. It's wonderful. So
Well, thank you. Well, thank you. So if I could ask Bob Ellsworth and my lovely mother, Sally Mazzarella, to come up. And if I could ask Tom and Lindy to present to the Park Fund.
Much fun that they have any money is nice.
What did you do with the other 10,000?
Yeah, really.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, and
Very good.
thank you to Liz for all of her hard work. She's a real inspiration, and it certainly couldn't happen without her. So
Great.
we're very happy to be part of it.
Thank you so much.
I second what Tom said, and putting this together with Liz's leadership, we had the most fun. It was just the best, and we're looking forward to the next one, right, Liz? That's on tape now. She's committed.
I'd like to just say one thing. The reason behind our support for the Park Fund really, in my heart, stems from the multi-generational use of that park. I mean, it serves the young, it serves the old, and it's another example of bringing our community together. So it's really, I think, a great opportunity to show the park our support. And thanks to my husband also, who's on our committee. He works very hard and supports the event also.
It's a very generous donation. Thank you.
As president of the Park Fund, I'd like to thank the Porch Fest for donating us the money. We've been given by the town supervisor a new addition to our park fund that we're working on to. For those who don't know, we're looking now at the swimming pool, the housing, the chemical storage, the tennis courts, because we've just about finished with the pavilion in the area back there, which hopefully that will entice people to go back there to walk the trails and enjoy the whole area. And so now, since we finalized that, we're moving on to a new section of what needs to be done to keep the park at a level that is good for the community. The park, according to my neighbor, Terry Jackalone, her husband was on the rec committee when they first built the pool. He was on it, and that has to be about 45 years ago. So it's been there a long time, and it needs a lot of major renovations. So I'd like to thank the Porch Fund very much for the donation.
Thank you.
As you saw, Bob immediately let go of the envelope because I'm the one who deposits this.
She's the treasurer, I'm just president.
And this becomes so important in terms of matching other dollars, and that's why our fundraising continues, because you just don't get people donating to you, whether it's Thomas Thompson or the Frost Fund or the state. There's always the matching dollars that are important, and these are the dollars that matter. So we're very, very grateful to Porch Fest for making this possible, and my daughter for doing a wonderful event. Thank you.
As Bob mentioned, this town board has funded for next year, I think $45,000 or $50,000 for an RFP to create a master plan for a renovation of our pool area and our playground. We realize that it's dated and it's a big draw for a lot of our residents, and we want to be able to have a beautiful pool area. We have to replace the kiddie pool, and it abuts a building with a crumbling foundation. And we're going to look at zero entry splash putt pools, updating the whole look, and maybe less concrete and fences that sort of recede. But it'll be exciting to come up with a master plan for restoration renovation that we could then implement. So thank you all for your continued work on the park, and thanks again for your generous gift.
Elizabeth, I've been trying over the past several months to find some local person willing to donate the time for the RFP. and I have not been successful, and I can't think of anyone else I could reach out to. So
Well, the county, and I've met with Chris Barkley, and I forget the woman who works with them, they have an RFP grant writer there, and at a very reasonable hourly rate. And I met with them, and this town board is committed to hiring them to write the RFP and bid it out for us. We're
Okay.
serious about it, and
Great.
this is what we have to do. So I think by working in conjunction with the county, central service, grant writing, it's a lot less expensive than having an attorney do it. They're professional, and they know where all the grant money is
That's
too.
wonderful.
So
Great.
that's the plan for the new year.
Okay, super.
Does John have the person's name, so when we're at a point where we're gonna...
I have the person's name, I just can't remember it. Yeah,
I don't have anything to write on, so...
okay.
John does.
I'll try and remember to send it to you.
Okay, I appreciate it, thank you. Because we're going to be at a point, at some point in time, after the first of the year, after we get together and just, choose.
Well, yeah, we're going to have to figure this out. There are people who've expressed a desire to work on it, so we may name some new people. Susie is very interested, she's an architect.
Wonderful.
And I think we need to come up with a list of all the things that we want them to look at. We should have a meeting in the new year, and we'll start going on it in January.
Wonderful, great.
Thank you. Thank you both for being willing to continue to work on this too.
We'll send you the bill.
Okay.
Just kidding.
I know. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Liz. Does anybody have any announcements or committee liaison reports? I'll just remind everybody that we have, this is our last meeting of the year. Town Hall is closed on Monday the 24th at 1, and we're closed on the 25th for Christmas. On the 14th, we'll be closed half a day for our joint town and village volunteer thank you lunch. I hope all of you will join us at Village Hall. And then we will be having our reorganization meeting on Tuesday, the 2nd of January. And a little later in the meeting, I want to talk about the January schedule because we're going to be setting these public hearings. I don't have any other announcements. Does anybody else have any announcements?
We don't have an announcement, but Ed and I have a little information about cell phone coverage. Ed has been working for quite a while, a couple of years perhaps, trying to do something about cell phone capabilities here in Rhinebeck. And you may recall that we got a report from Edge Wireless in March that told us that the possibility of cell tower side of the transfer station was not economically feasible. There's just not enough coverage to be had from that site. And they undertook to do a serious study of the area and get back to us and let us know what might be possible. Ed and I met with them last week, and they're ready. And if it's all right with the board and subject to any comments anybody might have, we'd like to schedule them to come in and make a brief report on their findings.
Great.
It's quite interesting. We know sort of what they're going to do. All right?
Thank you. Thanks,
Other than
guys,
that-
for taking that on, too.
Well, Ed's been doing all the work. I don't know why he made me describe what he's been doing, but
I did it before, he can do it now, so it's all right.
Thank you. Should we move right to our resolutions? We want to go out of order. Are you waiting for the committee members? Or?
No, we were just here in case questions. I think it's just that.
I don't think there are any questions, but I'll go out of order here. Number 8, I'll make a motion for Resolution 2018-263, commencing the local law adoption process for proposed local law to be numbered of the year 2019, entitled A Local Law Amending Town Code Chapter 125 Zoning in the matter of establishing a workforce housing district as a floating district, providing a procedure for locating a workforce housing district, and setting forth regulations for development therein. May I have a second?
second.
Thanks, Chauncey. Is there any discussion of this?
I have a question.
Sure.
The new law says that any proposal would be sent to the planning board and the workforce housing committee, among others, for comment. And then later it says that the report of the,
I'm sorry, say that again. Any public comments will be sent?
no, any proposal under this new law would be sent to the planning board and the affordable housing committee, workforce housing committee. And then later it says that the report back from the planning board would be incorporated into the official minutes of the hearing. And I'm just wondering if any other comments that come back in writing, specifically from the workforce housing committee or generally from the public, would that also be incorporated in the official minutes of the public hearing?
Of course.
Okay, that's my question.
All public comments are part of the record.
Yes.
Is there any further discussion? I think
Does John have something?
no, I do not have Art Broad's change. How would I have Art Broad's change? 5 minutes ago. Okay, we have a motion on the floor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'd like to make a motion to revise the resolution in front of us, whereas the fifth whereas paragraph in the subject town board resolution should read a quote, attorney to the town instead of town's consulting planner. So, 1, 2.
Fifth whereas, Tom?
Okay. Turn it
Oh.
down.
Yes, we're changing town's consulting planner to attorney to the town.
This is in regard to what?
It's just a recitation.
Whereas the town board has been presented with a part 1 of the full EAF prepared by the attorney to the town. So the attorney to the town will be preparing our EAF, not our town's consulting planner. So I've made an amendment to the resolution. Any discussion on the, all in favor of the amendment to the resolution?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. And we have an open resolution on the floor. I think we should set the public hearing for Monday, February 11th. That'll give us enough time to get this out to county and the planning board for any feedback.
Okay.
So we're setting the public hearing at Monday, February 11th at 6 p.m. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
May I make a suggestion, Elizabeth? This is a very difficult law to understand. It's complicated. I think that the Workforce Housing Committee and the consultant and the town attorney have done an excellent job, but it's heavy going. And I would like to suggest, and I think would help everybody, and it would certainly help me, if we could ask Art Broad, the consultant, to prepare something in the nature of an executive summary
Oh,
for us and for the public,
sure.
if that's okay.
Sounds great to me. What do you guys
Yeah.
want? Co-chairs?
Yeah, it sounds fine.
Okay. We voted on this. Did we vote on this?
Yes,
one?
we just passed the
Everybody-
resolution.
okay.
I held off until
Thank you.
we had
So you'll call, or you're the
If it's
liaison?
okay, I'll call, I'm the liaison to the
Yeah.
committee, I'll call Art.
I
Is
think
that all
that-
right, Jonathan, if I do that?
That'd be great.
Okay.
Yep, thank you. Okay, thank you. We can go back in order now unless anybody else wants to. Back to our regular order. I'll make a motion for Resolution 2018-256 for our budget transfers and amendments. May I have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Alan. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. I will make a motion for Resolution 257 for our account payable abstracts, 51 checks totaling $137,478.29. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ed. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. I will make a motion for Resolution 2018-258 for our capital projects abstract. It's one check, $10,724. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Chauncey. Is there any discussion, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Resolution 2018-259, a request for proposals for our court consolidation study. I will make a motion. May I have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Chauncey. Is there any discussion, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. I will make sure that this is on the docket for the village as well, but we are moving along. Red Hook is going to split the cost of the RFP for us because they're doing a similar study with their village of Red Hook. And then Supervisor McKeon, Mayor Bassett, and Mayor Blundell and I will put our heads together and send it out to all of the appropriate agencies to bid on. So I'll forward this. Okay, thank you. Resolution 2018-260, intermunicipal agreement with Dutchess County for central purchasing services. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Thanks, Chauncey. May I have a second? Thank you, Alan. This is what I was talking about before with, the ability for the county to write RFPs and bid things out for us. So this is just their IMA. Are there any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. I'm looking for a motion for Resolution 2018-261 for our 2019 maintenance contracts. Thank you, Ed, for 2019. May I have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Alan. Any discussion or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Yes. Thanks, Ed. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Resolution 2018-262, commencing the local law adoption process for a local law to be numbered of 2019 entitled A Local Law Amending Chapter 107 of the Town Code of Rhinebeck. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Chauncey. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ed. This is a revision to our zoning code to allow for a pilot for solar power plants. When we first passed our solar power plant or solar farm, commercial solar farm law, NYSERDA hadn't come out with the recommendations of what to do. And now there are recommendations, and what this will allow us to do is negotiate a pilot on any commercial solar array per each one put in. So we also need to schedule a public hearing for this. Warren would like to do it sooner rather than later. I'm not sure if I'm going to be here the 28th. Would you like to do it the 28th or the 11th of February? Is everybody okay with that? Okay, so let's set the public hearing for 6 p.m. on Monday, February 11th. And that'll be great. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. I'm sorry, can I just check one thing for a minute? I see one issue with the resolution we just passed on the maintenance code, and this is a contract, and this is my fault. We're awarding fuel oil to Bottini again.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
I missed this. I was looking at our highway contract. This amendment has us, okay, fuel service vendor contracts. These contracts are always with current fuel oil vendor. The new fuel vendor for 2019 is undecided, but will be the same as the highway department. Okay. Last year, this year it was Bottini. This contract has us going with the highway. Okay, I apologize, and I just wanted to be sure. I just wanted to be sure.
I think the Heritage gets good.
Heritage is getting, and oil. We are not going with Bottini this year. Let's get this to the floor and then we can talk about it. Resolution 2018-264, acceptance of the 2019 highway materials bid. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Alan. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ed. This is for the highway superintendent, and he and I spoke, and Alan did as well. And fuel oil is with Heritage, gas is with Valley, kerosene is with Valley, propane is with Heritage, diesel is with Heritage. We are not going with Bottini. Is there any further discussion?
I have a question. For the maintenance contracts, resolution number 6, we see the bids and the recommendation, but for the highway materials bid, we do not. Is there a reason?
The highway superintendent bids it out.
He makes the-
Yes, and he goes with the...
It's his jurisdiction.
Yes,
Right.
yeah.
And we always have the alternative to use the state or county bids. So if the state has a source that's cheaper than the county, we can use that, which is what the first paragraph
Thank you.
alludes to.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Resolution 2018-265, a merchant agreement for acceptance of credit cards for the town clerk and tax collector. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Alan. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ed. Is there any discussion? This will bring us into the new millennium here and allow the town clerk and the tax collector to use credit cards with any surcharge being applied to the person using the credit card. This does help us several times a year. We get someone who doesn't live here, who has to pay taxes, or,
They can do it over the phone now.
I do have a question, and I guess I'd really direct it at John. How much day-to-day work is involved in this for us, and who would do it? I assume you. And what happens if you're out for a month? Does the system break down? Do we have a sense of how this operates?
Yeah, it hits our bank account, and we get credited with the payments at the end of the day, I believe, and we'll have to account for it in our office differently than we account for checks and cash. But the software that we use essentially is our cashier software. Will do that for us. So I think it'll be a little bit of extra bookkeeping, but not a whole lot.
And can the system operate for a while if you're not available or you're on vacation? Or can Joan, is it going to create any administrative or bureaucratic headaches that it would be well for us to know about now? I guess that's what I'm asking.
I don't think so. We've been looking at this for a long
We
time.
discussed it with Shelley and Joan and everyone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, it should be pretty seamless.
Good.
Any further discussion?
Just a question, I assume people can pay by phone now then?
Yeah, this will make that possible, and it'll also make it possible for us to set something up on our website, and that'll be down the road. Once we are used to taking it in the office, and we've, integrated all that, then I'll work on, making point of sale on the website. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it will take the load off of you guys.
Have we voted on this?
No.
No.
Okay, is there any further discussion or any further questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Okay, Ed, third
Yeah.
time a charm here, Resolution 2018-266. A third request for proposals for the reconstruction of the cemetery stone wall. May I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Thank you, Ed. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Alan. Is
We're
there,
hoping this might be it.
you think so?
Third time's the charm.
Let's hope so. Thanks for doing it. We have some money saved
There's a
up.
lot of walls don't want to be built. So.
This is not that kind of wall. Any further questions or discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So moved. I have a new piece of business from the floor here. It is Resolution 2018-267. It is a request for a printer for the assessor's office, which broke this morning. So we were able to get it on the agenda. They had additional funds in the appraiser services. I told her to, because they're so parsimonious, all of our workers, they usually find something on sale and just get that amount approved, and then if the sale's over, they can't buy it. So I said, cover yourself, we can transfer it back. So I don't expect this to cost $850. I think that it'll be several $100s and a small amount of time for somebody to install it.
I was at Staples today, they're less than that exact number they don't sell.
Great. Any discussion or any comments or further questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. We have a discussion item. Which is a cemetery administration position. It's on tab 12. We have a fantastic cemetery committee, but the chair of our cemetery committee has found herself to sort of be taking on a lot more, sort of becoming an unpaid department head, as it was. Now, Alan and I met with her, and then I sort of downloaded everything to Ed, and I also talked to our town hall staff. And what I came up with is, instead of a 20-hour-a-week cemetery administrator, I just want you guys to think about this. I think that our cemetery groundskeeper will be, he will be retiring in a few years. And when he retires, it would be time, I think, to look at restructuring the cemetery department. We do about 40 burials a year. And we can look at how we want to handle that, if we want to hire someone from the highway department who currently works with Gary to dig graves, and if we want to contract out maintenance, we could do that, and we could have a full-time administrator to take care of all of the paperwork and all of we can change it from a physical maintenance position, heavy, to a more administrative position. But after talking to everyone here who knows how this works, I don't see a 20-hour-a-week administrator position.
10 hours.
I think we have to talk to her, because I don't even know if we want to be marketing, or, do we want to market the cemetery, and do we want to give tours? Is that what we want to do, or do we just want to maintain what we have and restore and go along? So,
What does the committee say?
well, the committee is the person advocating for
Right.
this
Yeah.
job. So I think that it would be horrible to lose Suzanne and the work that she's done, and I just want to know what you think about it. And maybe, Ed can speak with Suzanne, and we could come up with a sort of a fusion, a first step.
I think
not-
that's a good idea.
Yeah.
But when we talked to Suzanne, her idea of how many hours per week it would be was actually 20 to 30. So there's definitely a
No,
mismatch.
it was not, it was 10 to 15, and then when she got home, she said 20.
Okay.
But
Okay, then it was 10 to 20.
Yeah.
Okay, misremembered.
yeah. But I mean,
I think it's a good idea to go through these one at a time and decide which
Yeah,
ones we
just
want to do,
start
which ones we don't want to do.
Cross that one.
okay, so Ed and Ed will do that, and we'll sort of
Good.
reconvene. I mean, I think,
I'll work with her on this.
thanks. Is there anything else, any other new business or discussion
Yeah, I
items?
have a kind of, do something.
Well, I have a question. Have we gotten a report yet from the Highway Department Consolidation Consultants?
No, and I called him several times.
I mean, right? I mean,
You guys met with him?
we met with him, he said we'd have it Friday, and that was like a month ago.
That's right.
Um, Do you want me to call him? I've called him twice.
Yeah, why not? I mean, there was as we reported last time, there was a mismatch in what he thought he was doing and what we thought he was
Yeah,
doing. We wanted to figure out how to consolidate the highway department. It's
and
not,
maintenance, yeah.
yeah, and maintenance, not some superficial consolidation of sites.
Okay.
So he's not returning your calls. It's really disturbing.
I can't say that I've been calling him nonstop for weeks, but after this was raised the last time, I called him twice, I think.
Okay.
Should be one more than you need.
I think I'll do an email. I'll email him and
Okay.
call him tomorrow. I'll copy you guys on the email.
Good.
The Conservation Advisory Board, I was wondering if you could possibly promote new people to the board. They're losing people. They're down to about 5 or 6. Okay, go on the website, asking for volunteers.
Our chair is stepping down in the new year and cannot be
And that's my
involved.
next question. Can the cab run without a insurance person?
I'm sorry,
Who's stepping down?
Corinna Borden, for personal reasons.
Was that the CAB?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And we also have another member who is stepping down, Bob Donaldson, who does a ton of work, but he would be happy to work with us on individual projects. He loves where he can research and write about something, so maybe the trail project. And I think I might have found a person for the CAB. It's Paul Korshak, who's retired executive from the MTA, and he's on our joint environmental committee. And he said he might be interested. So we need to work on this. Ryan Dowd, who's
Can
working
we run a
full-time.
board without a chair?
Well, it's an anemic board that isn't going to get it done. When the planning board refers something to them, they won't have the membership to go out and do site plan and look at all the things, on the coastal review and the wetlands and the LWRP, all the things that reside in their jurisdiction. So we do need to work to find new members.
The other part of the CAB is this clean energy community. They have some money left over in this year's budget. They'd like to use it, if they could, on a coordinator, spending money to hire coordinators to coordinate these activities. They have about $1,400 and they want to,
But who's going to oversee it? They've all resigned.
no, Melanie Gates is going to
Oh,
So that's just a question I had to bring up. She's got the money, and we hire her $25 an hour for a short term, like 6 months or something, and she coordinates all these activities and those.
I think we've got most of them done.
They don't think so.
Before we approve money, let's look at it.
Well, I think when they have it, it's already, it's their money, can we use it, is the question. Like a PO, purchase order. Here we go. Can we hire this person?
Who?
The CAB wants to hire a coordinator, one who's on the board, right now, to coordinate these activities for clean and greener environment.
you know, I've been working on this, and we have our environmental committee. Let me take a look at this before we spend money to hire a coordinator. Is that all right?
$1,400 you're talking.
I don't think we need to spend $1,400 to get this done and get a, you know,
Okay. As I said, we don't have a chair, and it's losing Corinna and Bob Downs is really quite low.
unless you guys feel, you know, strongly about this, but, you know.
They seem to.
Don't come to a meeting.
I was going to ask you to do that, present the case.
Yeah.
I'll tell them.
So I have something. You're done?
Good point. Go ahead.
Did we approve the 2019 contract with PSA for maintenance of the servers?
No, that'll be done at the reorg meeting.
Okay, I just want to make sure, because they keep dunning me to sign get the agreement signed.
You know that our reorg is on Tuesday the 2nd, and everyone's fine with that.
So we'll do it then.
Yes. On Saturday at 10 o'clock, I will be at Germantown with Scenic Hudson and leading a session about Amtrak's plans for the gates along the corridor, the Hudson corridor. And the supervisor of Germantown and I have been working with Jeff Anzavino of Scenic Hudson to organize the 20 communities along the river and to get them to sign on to the letter calling for, you know, this to stop with this sort of death by 1,000 cuts of our access to the river and to look at grade, you know, footpaths. The access to the river is important to us. It is in our LWRP. There have been, you know, generations of people going hunting and fishing and canoeing and crossing over the railroad tracks. We only have one public access at Winecliff, and we want the other informal accesses to remain open. So I'm still working on that. Also, the fuel plant that's it's before the Town of Ulster Planning Board, the Glide Plan, is something that we'll need to write a letter on. Rebecca Martin, who is a Riverkeeper worker, is also a community organizer in Kingston, and she's working on calling attention to this. We're right in the G zone, they're calling it, all of the unclean air from it. So that's just another thing we need to be aware of and sort of fight against. Power plants, monster power lines, clean drinking water, it's just the environment.
Little things like that.
Yeah. Did a motion to go into executive session, Chauncey?
I would like to make a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel matters.
To discuss personnel matters of a specific employee or a board member?
A consultant and town official.
Thank you.
Is this employment history, medical history, credit history? Those are the three categories, or appointment of.
Or
Sorry?
there's also payment. I think I know what you want to discuss, appointment of and the
Appointment?
personnel history of
Yes.
Of
a particular employee.
Actually, there are two, an employee and an appointee.
Yes. Statutory board member and an
so
employee.
one's an appointment and the other would be employment history.
Yes. Okay, I'll second that. We'll be back. We're going to go into executive session. Okay, we're back from executive session. Are there any other questions, comments from the audience? Any other new business? Hearing none, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. Second. Thanks. Good night, everybody. We'll see you on the 2nd of January.
Yes,